Would you rather eat an entire box of donuts before a game or an entire pizza, and why?
Oh. Both sound terrible. I'm going to go with the pizza. I feel like the donuts would either come back up or have a major sugar crash at some point.
Yeah.
Unless it's somehow, maybe if a whole box of donuts would last you the whole game and you just hurt afterwards. But
maybe if you could eat a few donuts each period,
yeah,
it would be better.
That would be better, yeah.
But if you really had to crush them all.
No, I got to go pizza. Although pizza's going to sit in your stomach too. I don't know.
But you actually get some protein out of that at least.
That's true.
The donuts, they probably don't give you anything.
No, I'll go with the pizza.
What would you have on your pizza?
If I had to eat one before a game, probably just stick with cheese and give myself a half a chance. But no, my favorite pizza is this pizza from Interlochen that we live by, and it's smoked chicken, olives, mushrooms.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's good.
My favorite pizza is, I don't know if you've ever been up to northern Minnesota.
Some places, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
I grew up in Brainerd, and
oh yeah, we have a cabin on Gull.
Oh, yeah. Perfect. Rafferty's.
Oh yes, we've had Rafferty's. Yes.
Yeah, you know Rafferty's. That's my favorite pizza, but that's just because I grew up eating it. I feel like
it's good though.
Oh, it's amazing.
It's in Nisswa, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. We went there last time we were up there.
I don't know if you've ever been to like the Crosby area yet.
No, not yet.
But it's
we
pretty.
only had it for 2 years, so.
Okay, it's pretty close to Nisswa, Brainerd area, and they're really revamping it. But they have a Rafferty's there, and they do wood-fired pizzas. Like
nice.
Different.
Yeah.
So those ones are good. You could check that out.
Wood-fired pizza.
I know. Pretty good. Goalies, welcome to the Talk Goalie to Me podcast, where we spill all the behind-the-mask tea with goalies, talk gear that actually works, and hear the crazy stories only goalies can tell. Big shout out to General Sports, where you can get your pads, mask, and everything in between totally dialed in. Book a goalie lab fitting with me by calling General Sports or visiting their website. And heads up, General Sports' Black Friday sale is right around the corner, and it's going to be unreal. Massive goalie deals, exclusive discounts, and door prizes. So if your setup needs a refresh, now's the time to make your move. All right, let's kick things off. Today's guest is a name every goalie already knows, Devan Dubnyk, a 12-year NHL veteran, 3-time All-Star, and 2015 Bill Masterton Trophy winner. Dubnyk spent the prime of his career backstopping the Minnesota Wild and establishing himself as one of the most consistent goalies of his era. Drafted 14th overall by Edmonton, Dubnyk went on to play over 500 NHL games with the Oilers, Predators, Coyotes, Wild, Sharks, and Avalanche. His run in Minnesota from 2014 to 2020 is still legendary. Multiple All-Star appearances, huge playoff pushes, and that unbelievable stretch where he practically carried the team on his back after being traded mid-season. Since retiring, Dubnyk has moved into a new chapter as a hockey analyst, and you've probably seen him breaking down goaltending around the NHL with elite insight. And on top of all that, he's now passing his love for the position directly to the next generation. Dubnyk has 3 sons, 2 of which play goalie here in Minnesota. And trust me, we're definitely talking about that today. And he's launched Dubnyk Development, his own program focused on helping young goalies build the skills, mindset, and confidence to level up their game. Let's bring him in, Devan Dubnyk. I'm so excited to welcome Devan Dubnyk to the podcast today. Thank you so much for being here.
Happy to be here.
I'm excited, and I met you last year in Edina, and when I was thinking of who I wanted to have on the podcast, I just remember our interaction, and it was so awesome. And I tell people about this all the time, and it was just such a quick interaction, but we were at the Edina association goalie skate, and I was coaching, and you got on the ice, and of course I know who you are. I grew up watching you play for the Wild, and you came right up to me, and you're like, "Hey, I'm Devan. It's nice to meet you." And I was like, in my head, I was like, "I know, I know," but it was just so nice to have just like a normal interaction with you, and to know that you were just obviously a very down to earth person. And you were like, "Oh, yeah, my son plays in the Edina Association, so I'm just coming out here to help." And obviously, you've since started your Dubnyk Development Program, but it was just so wholesome. And I was like, I really want to get him on the pod someday, so I'm just so happy to have you here.
We made it happen.
Yes, exactly. We made it happen. And you grew up in Canada.
Yep.
Obviously, you've played hockey. You played hockey for a long time, 12 years in the NHL. And, like, how did hockey start for you growing up in Alberta?
Yeah, I grew up in Calgary. Mainly, I kind of lived all over the place. I was born in Regina. I lived in Toronto, Winnipeg, Vancouver before Calgary, but I was in Calgary when I was 10. So started playing goalie in Vancouver the year before we went to Calgary. So I just consider it Calgary. Same as everybody else. I always, we settled here. I kind of tell people Minnesota's the Canada of the U.S.,
Yes.
just with the hockey and the way people are and the Minnesota nice and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So really easy to settle in here, but same thing as here. I mean, I grew up on backyard rinks and started when I was 4 years old and played minor hockey, and it's fun to have my kids going through that now. It's a little more intense now than even when I was growing up. Everybody's always like, "Oh, you grew up in Canada. This must be nothing for you." I'm like, "No, this is crazy." I don't know if I'm sure it's changed and got crazy there too, but I'm like, this is a lot. But it's nice to have settled in here in the States and have been a place that my kids can go through the same things that I went through growing up and experience the outdoor rinks and loving hockey.
Yeah. And you have 3 kids.
3 boys, yep. 2 of them are goalies now.
That's scary.
It is horrifying. Just shaving years off my life, one goalie at a time.
See, and most goalies I talk to are like, I want my kids to play hockey, but I don't want them to play goalie.
Yeah,
Is that how you always were?
Yeah, I said the same thing. And I'm glad they are now. It's a lot of fun. My 9-year-old just started this year.
Okay.
This is his first year, and my other guy's 12. It's his second year, and I pushed back on him pretty hard. When, like anything, it's like, I want to be a goalie. I'm like, sure you do. Like,
yeah,
I was a goalie. I'm sure you do. And so I didn't let my older one play until his last year of squirts. And I want him to skate before. I think one thing is, it's too specific early on. Like, I don't think that goalies should be full-time in mites. They need to develop skating. They need to go out and learn their edges as a player, play the game as a player, see what it's like moving around. All of that kind of stuff is good things to learn. And also, I just don't think you get at the mite level, if you're just goalie, you're going to see enough shots and enough plays in front of you to really develop into a goalie. So that's why I kind of pushed back on him until he was ready to go, and he was pretty good too. Like, he wasn't incredible, but I could tell he understood the position. And he moved well in the net, and that was kind of the same thing for my 9-year-old, although he was a year earlier that I let him play, was he went in there and he'd try it. And this summer I said, all right, he wanted to be a goalie, and he was pretty good. So I was like, okay, we're going to put you in some goalie stuff. And, like, I'm going to show you what a practice looks like as a goalie, and we're going to go to velocity, and you're going to give up 25 goals and see if you still like it, and kind of put him through all this stuff. And he kept having a smile on his face, and he kept liking it. And I just kept asking him over and over, you sure this is what you want to do? You sure this is what you want to do? And then registration came, and I was like, all right, it's your last chance. This is your last opportunity to say no. And no, they did it, and I'm coaching both of them now, so it's a lot of fun.
That's so fun. Isn't that – I feel like that's always how it goes. Like, you push them towards something else, and they're just like, no, I love this.
Yeah.
Like, I have to do this. But I do see so many kids starting goalie at a much younger age and just being like full all in. And like you said, I think it's so good for kids to skate out for a while and really learn how to skate.
Yes.
Before they become a goalie.
Well, you need the skating. It's like anything you put. If you're rotating goalie equipment on a young kid team, who's the best goalie? The kid who's the best player, because he's the best skater. So if you put the kid in who skates the best, he moves around the crease and he's able to go down and get up because he's the best skater. And so they need to learn that stuff before they just skate around the 4x4 box that we skate in or whatever.
Exactly. How did you know that goalie was your position?
It was a similar thing. I had pushback from my dad. My dad was a goalie. He played up to junior A. And that's not why I wanted to be a goalie. I don't know. To be honest, I think I had a buddy who was a goalie that I thought it was cool. And that was like kind of it. I was always defensive minded in all the sports that I played. I always kind of played back and played defense. And I told my dad I was going to be goalie next year, and he was like, "No, you're not." And so we had a big similar back and forth throughout the summer. I was like, "I'm going to play." He's like, "No, you're not." So I finally convinced him that I'd play half of the games. So this would have been it's called novice in Canada, but it'd be the last year of mites. And he said, "Okay, you can play half of the games as the goalie and half as a forward." And I ended up I was okay when I started. I wasn't like, I didn't put the pads on and was like a phenomenal or anything, but I learned really quickly, and I ended up playing probably 90% of the games that year in net. And then the following year was the first year of tryout hockey, and I kind of made the top teams from then on out.
Yeah. That was how my dad was too. He had a lot of pushback for a lot of years. He was like, "No way."
Yeah, well, it's both for the kid and for the parent.
Stressful.
Yes.
Now that your kids are goalies, like as a goalie dad, when they play in games, how do you feel?
Well, it's much different this year than it was last year. Last year was awful. I almost like called my parents and apologized for having them have to do that for as long as they did, because he was a first year goalie, and he was playing Squirt A in Edina, and it's very good hockey. And I was just like terrified every game, like he was so new to it. And he moved around pretty good, but he's never played before. And it was just like right to this high level where there's expectations. The kids are good. They want to win. And so watching the games, it was just like, I was just like worried about him. And, especially at that level, like kids get open shots at that level, they go in the net. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
They shoot so well, and the kids aren't big enough. I mean, he asked me, "Hey, what should I do there?" I'm like, "I don't know, grow 8 inches and we'll talk later." Like, you're not going to stop that shot. And so just that uncomfortable feeling where you're in no control, and knowing the position that it's purely reactionary and anything can happen. You can go out there and give up 10 goals and not have a chance on any of them. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And so, it was just stressful worrying about his well-being. And again, it turned out fine other than losing a few years off my life, but a lot easier this year. Been through it. My 9-year-old now is basically doing the same thing. He made the Squirt A team right out of the gate. And if I hadn't have done that last year, I would be stressing a lot more this year. But I watched it happen last year. I watched how quickly he developed in a short period of time. And also, like I said, accepting that the game goes the way it goes sometimes. And if these kids get wide open and they rip it, they're going to score.
Yeah, that's hockey, especially at a young age.
Yeah, so it's a lot easier doing that. They're completely different goalies. They're completely different personalities entirely. So it's like 2 separate projects that I'm working on. And then my oldest has become a really good little goalie, so it's a lot more relaxing because I feel like he's in control in the game.
Like he can handle himself.
Yeah, like I don't, when the game's on, I don't feel like at any point in time he's going to get scored on.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more
less anxiety inducing.
Yes.
That's good, especially because you guys are in Edina Association, where obviously very well known in Minnesota state of hockey and everywhere else, that they produce great hockey players, and they're very serious, and the parents and families are also very serious about the games.
Very serious, yes.
So I'm sure I know what you mean. And then just talking about, you were talking a little bit about like throughout your career, you were kind of just making the best teams and doing all that stuff. What did it look like before you got drafted?
So I guess, starting in that first tryout team, it was a team. And then I went to Calgary. I played, it's called Adam at that time, which is the same as Squirt. And so top teams there, played Pee Wee, top team both years. And then into Bantam, and Bantam then separated away from association into quadrants of Calgary. So Calgary's in 4 quadrants. So you had, it would kind of be like District 6 would become one group, although there's less people. So I played Bantam AAA, and then I never, I knew I was good. I knew I was a really good goalie, but I didn't really know on like a scale of Alberta or Canada or whatever. Because you're young, you're 12 and 13 years old, and the WHL draft is when you're 14. for Major Junior, which is the CHL. And I remember my dad, I played for Calgary North. So then there's a thing in the summer called the Alberta Cup. So then I knew I was good because I made, the Calgary North team, and I had a good tournament. And my dad took me for a walk one day and told me that this WHL draft was coming up, and the Calgary Hitmen were there. I thought they were like professional hockey players. You go watch a game, there's fights, they got half visors on. I was like, what are you talking about? There's a draft in a few weeks. And he was kind of like, yeah, you're probably going to get picked. And I was like, my mind was blown that I was like at that level. So I didn't know, when I was going to get picked, where I was going to get picked. It was a pretty cool life experience. You got to do these phone call interviews with the general managers and the scouts, and it's an interview. And so I did, I want to say 17 of them.
Oh my gosh.
Of these phone calls, and they're just great life lessons to be able to sit down and have these conversations. And my mom picked me up from school. I was at track practice after school the day of the draft, and there was a piece of paper in the window that said "Go Blazers," and so I got drafted to the Kamloops Blazers in the second round, and I was the first goalie picked, which that was kind of an eye opener. I was like, holy crap, I'm the first goalie taken out of now we're talking all of Western Canada and some of the U.S. So that's when it's kind of started to click in that I was pretty good. I went and played another year of Bantam because you have to. You can't play till you're 16. And when I was 15 in my second year of Bantam, one of the goalies for Kamloops got hurt, and so I got called up. So I played a pretty good chunk of time when I was 15 as an underage in Major Junior, which was a whole nother life lesson.
Yeah.
It's 16 to 20. There's grown men there. My first game slashed a guy in the back of the leg, and he turned around with a full beard and told me if I touch him again, he's going to kill me. And I was like, won't happen again, sir.
Sorry.
Yeah, my bad. And then, when I was 16, I kind of had a spot on the team already. It was kind of known that I was going to be there. Still pretty naive to the whole thing, just going excited to be there. I played a pretty good amount of games as a 16-year-old. I was in 25 to 28 games. And then the Hockey Canada stuff starts happening, so you start to get invited to the under-18 tryouts, and I made the under-18 world championship teams, and then then the chatter starts about the NHL draft starts to come, and that following year was my draft year. I was the lone starter at 17, and that was kind of working into my draft year, and as you're going, it's possible not to hear all the stuff at that point, so you kind of start to know where you're fitting in as that draft approaches.
So when you got drafted, it was no surprise. You already knew it was going to happen, and even your family, you guys were prepared for it and ready for it.
Yeah, we were at the draft, and so I expected to go in the first round, but also was knowing that, especially at a goalie position, a team has to be. It's not you don't have. Well, I think it's 20. No, there were 30 teams then. Not every team's looking to pick a goalie, so it's not 30 spots. There's a couple teams in the first round that might pick a goalie.
Yeah.
So there's a chance that I didn't go in the first round. So just kind of keeping those expectations in check. But you have an agent, and they obviously have the know and the ins and outs, and so I expected to go in the first round, and didn't know who to. I thought I might go to LA. Picked at 11. And they didn't take me, and Edmonton was kind of next team up at 14 that was a good potential. And growing up in Calgary, obviously watching the Oilers a lot, I was really crossing my fingers that would be the team that took me. So it was kind of surreal. I got close family in Edmonton. My mom grew up there, and so it was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super cool, especially as a young kid. I mean, you made your NHL debut at 22. What do you think was just the toughest adjustment of that whole period? Obviously, it was nice to have family close to you there.
Yeah, I had played 3.5 years in the minors at that point, so I was itching to get a call. But
yeah,
that was an interesting year. I hadn't had one call up, even sitting on the bench, in 3.5 years. not one single call up. There were no injuries, nothing. And November, Habby Boone hurt his back, and he ended up being out for the rest of the year. Didn't know at the time, but it shortly became known that he was going to be out for the rest of the year, and the team wasn't very good. So it was a large step up from the American League, like a very large step up. And I struggled a little bit. I mean, the pace was a lot. I didn't play for a very long time. I sat on a bench for 20-some games, and then was the first time I was on the ice, we were in Vancouver, Hockey Night in Canada, Saturday night. Vancouver was a wagon. They were
oh my gosh,
Sedins and Alex Burrows and Kessler, like Luongo was in there. They were a good team. And actually, I think the next year they went to the final against Boston. But Hockey Night in Canada, they're up 4-0 6 minutes into the game, and I'm trying to hide. I'm in the corner of the bench, like trying to just be as small as I can be in the corner, like
please.
I don't exist, like not right now. And I mean, they must have showed my face after the third goal, and I didn't go in. I was just like white as a ghost. And so, sure enough, fourth goal goes in, and I'm like in denial. Like in my head, I'm like, you're going in, but I'm like, no, you're not. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. And so, sure enough, I get in there, and I mean, I was so nervous in the first period when I got in there. Like I couldn't even feel my body. There was a point where it had gone on for 5 minutes, and I told myself, I'm like, okay, you got to figure something out here, because this isn't going to work the whole game. Like, yeah, you got to, like, I can't feel my body. I'm like floating around in here.
Lock in.
Yeah, like I got to do something, or this isn't going to work. So the first game went okay. I gave up 3 on 29 shots or something. So got in there and it was okay. Didn't play for a while again, and then my first start was awful. Pat Quinn was our coach, late Pat Quinn. He was a legend. Pretty old when we had him, though. Wasn't overly communicative. So I was going out for pregame skate like I normally would, like I'd done 30 times before. Mm-hmm. Like I was going out early to get my work in. And as I was walking on the ice, he comes back out from the coach's room and goes, "Oh, dude, you're playing tonight." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And the nerves and everything came back, and didn't have time to tell my family. Nobody could come up for the game.
Yeah.
And which is a good thing they didn't, because we played St. Louis. We lost, I think I gave up 7 on 25. It was not good. And it was a bumpy road. And again, I was the pace was higher than I was ready for. Team wasn't good. A lot of pressure in Edmonton too. But fortunately, they decided that me and the other goalie were going to look at as we were their prospects for who was going to play in the future. Mm-hmm. So they just kind of let the season run as it was, and I started to play a little bit more, and I slowly was getting better. Had a few close calls on wins, and then my first win came. It was my 11th start. I didn't have a win yet. I think I was like 7-3 or something. It was not good. Couple close calls and shootouts, but couldn't get it done. And that morning we were playing Detroit, of all teams, that night, and Detroit was also very good. This is the Datsuk, Zetterberg, Lidstrom.
Oh, wow.
Holmstrom. Like the whole squad. And my sister texted me during the day. She said, "Hey, don't worry about that article that came out today." And I was like, "What? What do you mean?" I'm like, "I'm not reading any articles."
Yeah, you're like, I would never have seen it.
Yeah, there was an article put in the paper that I was approaching the modern day record for starts without a win. And I was like, okay. And
okay.
I set a little bit of a buffer, if you want to call it that. It was like 16 and I was on 11. So a little bit of a buffer. So I go into this Detroit game, and we played really well that game. Like we were in control. It was I was sharp, but I wasn't getting like bombarded. We were playing a good game as a team, and we were up 2-1 in the third period, all the way to the very end. And puck goes in the corner, and a buddy of mine who was also a call-up, who was also playing when he probably shouldn't have, decided that he was gonna to kill the time on the clock. He was gonna drop his stick and lay on the puck. Was his choice of play against Pavel Datsuk and Henrik Zetterberg and company. So needless to say, that didn't work. They dug the puck out pretty quick and fired a backdoor pass to Brian Rafalski. They scored with 0.3 seconds left on the clock.
Oh.
And the first thing in my head, like the green light was on. They had to go to review and see that it crossed the line. And first thing in my head was oh, there's that modern day record again.
I'm getting too close.
Oh no. And so I just tried to push it out going into overtime, got through overtime, and got to a shootout, and stopped Valtteri Filppula on the breakaway at the end, and he went backhand, forehand. He caught the end of my blocker, but not enough to like really feel it, and so I thought he scored at first, and then I just saw the puck trickling in the corner, and it was crazy feeling.
I'm
first
sure.
NHL win took way too long.
But isn't it crazy to think that like you went from that to having such a long career, and I'm sure like how thankful you are to them for just like sticking it out and letting you get the practice like as a young guy.
Yeah, and I do I do a lot of stuff with some Oilers podcasts now, and I get asked that a lot. They're like, is it frustrating like your teams are so bad and stuff? And I'm like, I wouldn't change anything, because that's a situation now, especially with the disparity in the league, that like, where does that happen? That a team is like so out of it and they got like 2 prospect goalies that they're just like, so after the Olympic break, they were like, you guys are going to alternate games regardless of what happens from now to the end of the year.
Wow.
In what world does that happen?
Yeah.
And I was fortunate that I was put in that situation and given that leash and that leeway, because most NHL teams are in some sort of a playoff hunt for most of the year until, some obviously earlier than others, but to be given that leeway. If I was on another team, I mean, you could argue maybe I'd stop more pucks if I was on a better team and maybe have adjusted a little quicker, but you're not going to have that leash if you're losing hockey games. They're like, no, we don't have time for this. Like we don't have time to let them grow. And so I was able to do that. I went 4-2 in my last 6 games and really kind of solidified my position then to be the backup to Happy Bull in the following year. So having that leeway to grow, get thrown in the fire and grow with it was a blessing. And as hard as it was, you don't know what would have happened otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. And it worked out super well. And then when your time with the Oilers kind of came to an end, you played for a few teams for a little bit until you made your way to the Wild. Can you talk a little bit about leaving the Oilers?
Yeah, it was tough. Everything had kind of been going in the right direction. I played quite a few games, more games, to the point that I was the starting goalie, technically the starting goalie, because I played one more than half the games, which then got me a nice 2-year contract. That following year was a lockout year, so we played a shortened season, but I was like the starting goalie coming out of that. Best year of my career so far. I had a .921 save percentage. Everything was good. And then that summer, Craig McTavish was hired as the GM. They fired the coach, which is weird because we had the best season we'd had in the entire time I was there. And all of a sudden it was like all this talk of they're going to go get a different goalie. They're going to trade for Jonathan Bernier or Corey Schneider, or anybody that could put a pair of pads on that wasn't me. And so that was difficult going into that year. And then I didn't help myself at all. I had a really, really tough start to the season. The first 5 games were pretty bad. Statistically, pretty much put myself in a hole that you don't climb out of, but felt like I was starting to get my game back and be a little bit better. And then I got traded to Nashville, and it was really crazy. You think, oh, I'm gonna be an Oiler for my whole life, even though we lose every season. But and then the weeks after, like you go to sleep and wake up and I'm by myself, family's at home, and you're like, I wonder if they'll trade back for me, or you wake up and forget that you're on another team because it's the first time it's ever happened. So it was tough, and Nashville was not ideal. I wasn't in a good headspace going there. I don't think they liked me that much. I don't know why they traded for me. The goalie coach was kind of all over me from the get-go, Barry Trotz. I'd already cleared waivers, so I went to Hamilton in the American League, and they told me, hey, go down. You haven't played in a while. Go down to Hamilton, play 3 games this weekend, and then we'll call you on Monday, and we haven't figured out what we're going to do with the Canadians. They had Carey Price and Peter Budaj was there, and they weren't happy with him, so that was kind of where I thought I was going to go up and have a chance. And that was the last I heard from anybody in the Montreal Canadiens organization for the rest of the year. So I got buried in Hamilton. We had 3 goalies down there, so we were in like a 3-goalie rotation in the American League.
Yeah.
And year ends, we had a newborn. Hadn't seen them for like 10 weeks. Just wanted to go home, and they tell me I'm on the taxi squad for the Canadiens for the playoffs. So that was a whole other thing. They beat Tampa in the first round. They played Boston in the second round, and it was Game 7. And I hate to say it, I was cheering for Boston because I wanted to go home. And Montreal beat Boston, and I called my agent the next day. I just said, I'm out of here. Like, I can't do this anymore. I can't skate with 5 prospects with no. I'm 4th on the depth chart. Like, they're not going to re-sign me. I need to go home. And so I went home and got home. The next day, Carey Price gets hurt. Montreal media is crazy. They like pick up the depth chart and they're like, "Whoa, Devan Dubnyk's on the team." Like, I don't even think they knew I was like in the organization. So now I gotta do a phone interview with like Hockey Night in Canada asking why I went home. So it wasn't like I went home and then it was like it wasn't over. I had to like explain to everybody why I went home.
Like, oops.
So there was one last little thing, and then.
But you had a legitimate reason. I mean, you had a baby at home.
Yeah. So that summer I just kind of hit the reset button. I didn't even bother thinking about that season or what went wrong or whatever. I was just like, listen, everything was going in the right direction. Get back to focusing on training, getting back to what you want to do. And it was scary for a minute because I was like, someone's going to sign me. I was starting goalie like at the start of the season. Yeah. Someone's going to give me a chance. And it was like, and then leading up to free agency, it was like, I think someone's going to give me a chance. And it was is someone going to give me a chance? And then it was Arizona was the only team that offered me a one-way contract. There were a bunch of teams that wanted to give me a two-way. Arizona was the only one team that offered me a one-way. I think Philadelphia might have come in late after I'd agreed with Arizona, thank God, because that's a graveyard, as we know, for goalies. That would have been the end of it if I went to Philly. But went to Arizona, and it was kind of perfect. Played against them lots. So it was Dave Tippett was the head coach. Sean Burke was a goalie coach. Very familiar with me. They'd seen me play a ton. I spent some time during the lockout in Arizona, so I knew a lot of the players. It was a new team that didn't feel like a new team. I felt like I knew everybody, and they knew me too. I didn't feel like I had to go prove anything because it played against me so much that they knew who I was as a goalie, and really close with Mike Smith as well. So I had a good partner there, and obviously no media pressure there. You can just go and remember how to play hockey and not have somebody sitting in your stall every day asking you how it's going, and you can go play the games and not worry about that kind of thing. So it was kind of this perfect reset to go there. And, I kind of mentally accepted that might be my window to be a starting goalie. It might be gone. I was 28 years old, and which obviously isn't old, but I'm like, hey, I just want to play in the NHL in whatever capacity that is. I'm going to be grateful for it. I'm going to enjoy my time there, being in the room, traveling. I saw Hamilton the year before. I wasn't interested in doing that anymore. So I'm like, I'm just going to work to be in the NHL in whatever capacity that is. And it was great. It was a great mindset to have. Took all the pressure off. I just enjoyed my time and let me go play, get my game back working with Sean Burke. But, like you were mentioning with your college thing, it's like all of a sudden then I was playing better than Mike Smith. And then it was like 2 games in a row and a couple break. And then it was like 3 in a row. And then all of a sudden I was like, well, I don't want to be a backup goalie in the NHL anymore. I want to play.
Yeah. And
so I was getting that itch again, and I think I'd played 4 in a row actually after Christmas, leading up to the Minnesota trade. And then you start to hear talks that other teams are now looking at me as a trade because I didn't really have a future in Arizona. Mike Smith was there and he was signed, and and then one day the call that I was going to Minnesota, and I was really excited because I thought. This was I had no idea what they wanted from me, what they were planning on me playing-wise, but I was familiar with Minnesota as well, having played all my games in the West, and I was like, this is a really good hockey team that's not playing good hockey right now. Mm-hmm. So you're not going to a team that you need to like play better than they can. This is a really good team that just needs to play the way that they should play, and just kind of worked out and rolled after I got here. I mean, like I said, I didn't even know if they knew what they wanted me to do. They wanted goalies were struggling pretty bad, and they wanted somebody else with a set of pads to go in the net.
Just a change of pace.
And went in and we started winning. And even there was only 4 games before the All-Star break, or 3. And there was 4. I played the first game in Buffalo. We won 7-0. The next game at home was against Arizona, which was really weird because I just got traded from there, and I was in the same hotel. So I went for dinner with all the Coyotes guys. Like, I hadn't left. I saw them like 4 days ago.
Yeah.
And went for dinner with them like I was playing with them. I walked to the rink with them. So we walked to,
oh my gosh.
I walked to the rink with the whole Coyotes team, and we walked in the door, and then we went down the Zamboni entrance, and I went this way, or I went this
Just
way, and they
split
went that way, and I was like, all right, I'll see you guys in a bit. And we won that game, and then we actually lost. I think we lost 4-2 to Columbus the next game, and then we played back-to-back in Detroit. I got pulled, and we came back, and we lost in a shootout. So that didn't go on the record, which is nice, but then it was All-Star break, so went back to Arizona, kind of collect my stuff, and still didn't really have like an expectation. I didn't know, I was excited. It went well, but it was, I was 2-1 2-1-0 because I didn't get that decision in Detroit. It wasn't like mind blowing. I don't think my stats were anything crazy because I got pulled in Detroit, and then I came back after All-Star break, and I think we started in Edmonton. Maybe I think we started in Edmonton, and it just kind of like. Played that game and it went well. We won. Played the next game and it went well. And then it just started rolling, and it was like it was never talked about. It was just like I was playing.
Yeah.
I was playing, and then it was like 7, 10, 15 in a row, and then it was like we're right in this playoff hunt that we couldn't afford to drop a game. The other guys hadn't played in like 2 months. And so it was just like, it just was without saying I was playing every game. There was no like, hey, you're starting tonight. It was just like I was playing.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have to practice, which was great because we played every other day and we had Backstrom and Kemper. So I wasn't screwing up practice by not going in the net. So I would never practice on days that we didn't play. I'd play, go to the rink, not go on the ice. The next day I'd pregame skate and play.
That's like the dream.
Exactly, it is, and fortunate, for your body too, that you don't have to go out there and go up and down. And I played 7 back-to-backs. I played 38 games in a row.
Oh my goodness!
But that's one of those things that it just kind of happens. Like if I get traded there and they're like, you're going to play the next 38 games, it's like that stuff starts to get in your head. You're like thinking ahead to game 20, and it just was like I didn't think of anything other than that next game. I kind of look at it as like the perfect storm because I had this. Felt like I was playing with house money. Like it was bonus time for me. I wasn't going to get to play a lot in Arizona. Now I get a chance to play games. So that was all a bonus. I wasn't part of the whole downturn before, so that wasn't weighing on me. And I would just go out and play, and we just take it game by game. I wasn't thinking about, the 2% chance we had to make the playoffs when I got there. I didn't really care. I was just wanted to go play.
Yeah.
And so all of these things kind of culminated to be this perfect storm to be able to go play 38 games in a row and make the playoffs when nobody thought we could.
Mm-hmm. Especially like as you got older with the Wild, when you were just playing games, not practicing as much, how much do you really think that like saved your body?
Well, I did have to practice more, actually, even when I was playing like 68, because we only had 2 goalies.
Oh,
so there's times like if there's an optional practice you can stay off, that's fine. But, you're still a teammate too. Like if there's an optional practice and 75% of the guys are going out, you're not going to like not go in the net so that there's practice. They shoot on an empty net. So even if you don't want to, you go out anyway. If you could, though, if you're really now guys don't play as much as they do. As much as I did anymore, so it's not as big of a thing. But if you're playing that much, especially at the end of the year when you're playing 4 games a week, to stay off just both mentally and physically, to just not have 300 pucks fired your way is really, really beneficial.
Yeah, even playing like at the college level for us was like if you would start both games on a weekend, it was like Monday would roll around and you'd have practice, and it was like, oh my gosh, I still feel it.
Oh, yeah.
And I was 21.
Yeah.
22. So, gosh, I can't imagine like you guys playing way more games.
Yeah.
Traveling on top of that a lot.
Yeah.
So, gosh, it'd be exhausting, but super fun. Do you think obviously like playing at that level, it's a job. you're working. But how did you feel about it? Like, did you still love hockey all the way through?
I did. Lost it a little bit at the end. That was the COVID thing, and it was kind of towards the end. It lost its spark for me. I didn't enjoy practice nearly as much when I was growing up all the way through. It was like I love getting out and practice. I love going 100 miles an hour. And the other thing too for me is like I couldn't go out on a practice and not go hard. Yeah. So it was like if I was going to go on, I was going to go hard, which was not like I was never just going to go on the ice and just be out there. So as you play more and you love the games and everything that goes about it in practice. Listen, guys shoot the puck hard too, and it hurts. You just like my hands are so beat up, and like they changed our chest pads so the arms weren't very protective, and the pants and in like the thigh area. Yeah. And so, most practices you're getting pucks that hurt, and it's like you have to do the practice, you have to go out, but to go out there as you play more and more and get older and older becomes less exciting to go and practice, but still absolutely loved everything. Didn't look at it as a job. It just the COVID, going to the bubble, all the things that you fall in love with were gone. Playing in front of fans, getting to do stuff with the guys. We obviously the bubble was its own unique little thing, but got traded to San Jose and we weren't allowed to do anything. So you're playing in front of no fans. We weren't good. We weren't allowed to go out for dinner on the road. Santa Clara County didn't even let us be there at the start. So we started in Arizona. We played 14 games on the road to start the season because the experts at work in Santa Clara County decided that it wasn't safe for us to play in a rink by ourselves, which is mind-blowing. But even when we went back, they were very strict. And like if we see anybody, because other people were starting to be allowed to go out. Yeah. Restaurants and stuff. But we were told if we were spotted out that they're going to kick us back out. And there was only a couple guys with families. My family wasn't there because we were in Arizona and we'd started on the road. They were planning on coming and then ended up not coming because of that. There was only a few guys with families there. Patrick Marleau was one of them. Obviously, he had a bunch of kids. If those guys didn't have kids, I would have gone to a restaurant and been like, hey, it's me. Send us back to Scottsdale because we were allowed to golf and we were in a hotel and we were allowed to do whatever we wanted there. So it was a lot more fun than being locked up here.
And your family was there?
No, they weren't in Arizona.
Oh, they
but
weren't.
If they're not going to be there, it's like I'd rather be at TPC Scottsdale than like staring at my backyard for hours.
You're like, please.
Yeah, but couldn't do that to the guys with family.
No, COVID was so hard for sports.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine at that level too. Like for us at the college level, I mean, we were getting tested every day and
yeah, it turned into twice a day for us and it was just what it was. I mean, obviously you look back at it as silly and a lot of the stuff, but it's whatever. I mean, it was unknown and I got a little bit, it was nice. Going to Colorado was a nice little kind of jolt because the team was amazing. So that was pretty cool to play behind a group like that. I never, no offense to any Minnesota teams. It was just a different type of game in front of you, like having Nathan McKinnon and Cale Makar in front of you and Landeskog and Rantanen and all these guys. It was a different beast. And then the fans started to come back in at the end as well. So slowly started to fill up. And by the second round of playoffs, we were kind of full capacity, both in Colorado and Vegas. So it got a little bit of a refresher on what it was like to be in a real stadium with fans and stuff, but it had been a couple years of kind of draining on that side of it, and I planned on continuing to play, but I don't know if I really planned on it. Like looking back on it, I was training in the summer and I was skating, and I thought I'd get a contract. Yeah. But then looking back, I'm like, did I expect to get a contract, or did I even really want to? Because the training wasn't the same. I still go every day, but pretty quick to find excuses not to go on the ice. So a round of golf sounded pretty damn good as opposed to going out on the ice. And so looking back, would I, if I could do it again, yes, I'd go a little harder and try to play a couple more years. But at that time, there wasn't a ton of disappointment. without there was, but it was like almost manufactured. Like I wasn't deep down. I wasn't like genuinely surprised or disappointed that it didn't come.
Yeah. Like you just felt like you should have been disappointed. So you were like, oh,
exactly.
Darn it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, I can't believe this is happening.
Oh, dang.
I'm going to go golf.
So when you retired, how long did it take you to kind of like get into like, obviously like your analyst role and do stuff like that? Did you take some time off?
Well, that was a unique year too. So I'm done playing. I think I'm like, this is great. It's September. I'm golfing 4 times a week. And then the golf stops and it snows and it's like, oh, well,
what do I do?
What do I do now? Which, is not healthy. Sit around and do a lot of nothing. And then Hockey Canada called and said, would you play in the Spengler Cup? And I had played in the Spengler Cup a couple times prior, and it's an amazing tournament over Christmas in Switzerland. It's like, it's another planet over there. It's just this beautiful Christmas wonderland. The tournament's fun. I was like, oh, I'll take the family over there and the kids and have one last hurrah. They can watch me play one more time, and then we'll call it a day. So I said, yeah. I'm like, sure, but I don't have anywhere to play. Like, I don't have anywhere to skate. Everybody's in their season. It's November. I haven't done anything. And they're like, so we figured out, I started skating practicing with St. Thomas University.
Okay.
Which I only did for 2 weeks. And I was like, well, I kind of felt bad because I didn't want to take away their goalie's time.
Yeah, like they're not seeing as many pucks.
And I was like, well, I guess I'll figure it out when I get there. And then Florida called my agent, and they're like, because Luongo's in with Hockey Canada, and they're like, hey, we heard needs somewhere to go to get ready for Spengler. We got a bunch of injuries. Does he want to come play in Charlotte to help him get ready for Spengler? I'm like, that's perfect. And they paid me too, which was even better. I was going to go for free. And they offered me like a prorated contract that was pretty good, actually. It was very, very nice of them. I was like quite surprised when they gave it. I was like, yeah, this is great. So get all ready for that. Played a couple games there, and Spengler Cup got canceled the day before we left.
Oh.
So now I go back home over Christmas, and I'm like, I'm done again. And they still had injuries in Charlotte, and it was funny because I still don't know if they like thought I was coming back. Like I didn't have a flight, but I think the goalie coach thought I was coming back after Christmas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he texted me and he's like, hey, when you get in? And I was like, what do you mean?
I'm not.
I'm like, I'm done, dude. Like, what are you talking about? I got nothing. I'm not coming to play in the American League just to play. And then Hockey Canada was like, well, we're interested in taking you to the Olympics. And I'm like, oh, sounds terrible, but it's like the Olympics we're in Beijing, and like this is COVID time. Like we all know what the Olympics was like there, but at the same time, I'm like, it's the Olympics. Can't really say no.
No.
Like, all right, so I went back to Charlotte. Went on a couple. It was great the first trip because we were just at home in Charlotte. And Charlotte's beautiful, so that was awesome. And I'm like, all right, I'll go back. This will be great. And his like first trip was like to like Bridgeport and Hartford. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is why I didn't want to do this again. I was sitting in the corner in Hartford, and I played a lot of games in Hartford because I played for Springfield for my first 2 years, which is 30 minutes down the road. And I wasn't playing the game in Hartford, and I was sitting in the corner, and these 2 young kids, they were like 13 probably. They're like, you sit like in the fans. As
like
the
backup fans
goalie,
are like right there.
Right there. You're like in the walkout tunnel. And these kids are right here. So they're like, the goalie's playing, and they're like, dude, you should be in there. Like, you'd kill it. And I was like, I'm too old for that. And they were like, okay. And they're like, oh, you got scored on. And they're like, oh, you do so much better than he would. I was like, I'd probably break my back if I went in there right now. Like, no, I wouldn't. And they're like kind of confused. And I saw them, and they were like Googling me beside me. And then they figured out who I was. And then they started talking to me. And I was like, I need to go home. Like,
you can't even get away from them.
No, like this is, you're old. You should not be sitting in the corner of Hartford watching an American League game. Like, so then I'd only played 2 more games, and Shane Doan called me from Hockey Canada and was like, we were really torn. We were kind of 50-50. Some guys really wanted you to go. Some guys feel like you didn't play enough, and we're concerned that you've only played 4 games in the last year.
Yeah.
To go over there. And I was like, okay, could have told me that 3 weeks ago, but okay.
Yeah.
So then that was my last game. I got that phone call when I was driving to the rink to play against Springfield, which is weird, but
To the rink.
I was going to the game, and I didn't say anything to the guys at the time, but it was kind of weird. I was like, I knew that was the last professional game game of hockey I was going to play. So it was a really weird feeling, like getting ready for that game, trying to like not think about it and just go. And I really liked the guys in the room too. I was like, and the other thing too was the other goalie was like, there was another injury, and then they were shared with Seattle, so another goalie was called up. Joey Decord was one of the goalies there at the time, and our backup goalie was like a call up from Southern Professional League or something. Like I don't even know what it was, but it was like I liked the guys and they were a good team, and so I told him the next day, I'm like, if I didn't like you guys, like I would have literally gone straight to the airport. Like I would have called the equipment managers and been like, here's my address, send my stuff. I'm on a plane.
I'm
like,
done.
Yeah. But I'm like, I like you guys. So I figured I didn't want to leave you with like a fifth string backup to play.
Like, I'll do the professional courtesy.
So yeah, I played that last game, and then that was it. And it took a couple years. I did the NHL Network thing. I was sitting that same year. It was like May, I think, end of April, and I was sitting in my basement watching playoffs and was bored. And I was like, I think I could do that. And so I called my agent, and he knew guys at the NHL Network, and did a quick interview. And they're like, 10 days later, they're like, yeah, come out and we'll do it. I was like, okay.
Okay.
I was kind of getting fat at this time, so I was like, I got to go get a couple new suits. Like my playing suits are not fitting me right now, like not even close. So I went and got 2 new suits and went out there, and I mean, they literally just like threw you in the fire. Like I was like,
really?
I obviously watching the network, you know how the show is run, but you never actually been on the show and how it's all operated and everything. So NHL Tonight playoff edition, I was sitting on the table, and it's like on in 5, 4, 3, 2, go, and that was it.
Wow.
You kind of learn on the fly.
That's crazy. There's so much behind the scenes, I'm sure, that
Yeah.
you've kind of learned since then.
Yeah, and it's really laid back there, and now it's been a long time. I took last year off, and really kind of focus on the kids and my health and getting in a better spot health wise, and it's been really good. And then this year I saw them, the Oilers thing I was doing. They brought me to the finals, so I was there and I saw the NHL Network guys, and I kind of missed it when I wasn't doing it. So they told me to call them after the season was over, and got back on there. So I'm excited to be back on there and doing it. It's a lot of fun, keeps you in the game and keeps you involved. And between that and my program and the kids, there's not a lot of free time. Yeah,
I can imagine. I'm sure it's nice to, talking hockey at that level and like staying up to date. Goalie changes so much. Like think of like the past 10 years of playing goalie. Like it was funny. I was listening to a different podcast you were on, and you're like, when I started, like when I was 14, we were practicing like skate saves.
Yeah.
And then by the time I was done, they were doing RVH.
Yeah, maybe not 14, but it was like 11 or 12. Yeah. We did some skate saves, like legitimate, like C-cut out, try to like get your skate blade on it.
It's so funny. It's just crazy how much it has really changed.
Yeah.
And then with you deciding to stay in Minnesota and like take up roots here with your family, what was that decision like?
It wasn't really a decision by the end. We had when I got traded here, we just had one kid. So 2 of our kids were born here, and then the amount of time that you spend here, you start to meet real friends away from the rink. Not that your teammates aren't real friends, but teammates all come and go. Like not a lot of people stay in Minnesota, and a few of them have. We're really close with Parisis and Stalls are here, and like they happen to stick around. But most of the times, like you're done playing, nobody stays around. But we met so many great people here that were like real friends. 2 of our kids were born here. This was home. This is the longest we'd lived somewhere ever. Yeah. So it was just, there was never really talk about doing anything else. It was just, we were here. Yeah.
That's so nice. You kind of integrate yourself with the community more, I'm sure, too, with like having 3 kids. Yeah. And especially them playing hockey here. You meet families and like they make friends and start school.
Well, exactly, and they're all in school, and
Mm-hmm. Well, I heard a rumor that you never wore like knee pads.
never ever.
That's terrifying.
I know. The only thing I wore was like the Vaughn. Well, they weren't Vaughn. They were like Bauer made them, but just the
like
one,
the flap
that tucked under my pants.
that everybody takes off nowadays.
Yeah.
It just cuts
Well, they don't
off
even put them on.
No,
pads
they don't
anymore. But
well, sometimes, like by the time my sophomore year, before that, they still had them.
Yeah.
Like of college, and yeah, everyone was like, "Why would they even put these on anymore?" Everyone just throws them away.
Not me.
The one person using them.
No, those things were that's all I had. I just strapped them to my legs, and I had a really wide butterfly, so my knees were never exposed. I never narrow butterflied. So the only time I'd ever get in trouble is like a quick pass across the crease. They get one time back the other way.
And it goes right in.
It would happen where I would open up and it would get hit back the other way, and I'd get it right on the knee. But it was, they were bang plays. They weren't like 95-mile-an-hour slap shots hitting it, because I was never exposed. I was always wide and covered that way.
So they just gave you a little bruise.
Yeah, it hurt,
but nothing terrible.
Add that to the arms and broken fingers, and it's what it is.
Well, I do have a little sponsorship read here. So to keep you a little engaged, you are going to have to rate it 1 through 10 at the end.
Your sponsorship read?
Yeah.
I've been working on those myself, so.
It's like my radio voice,
That's key. You do have to change your voice and your delivery.
It's funny when all my friends will listen to my podcast and stuff. They'll be like, "You sound so serious." I'm like, "This is my serious voice." Like,
just imagine like a late night infomercial and then just spit that out.
Exactly. Okay, I'm ready. If you're a goalie, you already know finding the right gear is half the battle. That's where General Sports comes in. They've got the best goalie setup in the Midwest. Pads, masks, sticks, skates, everything built for the ones crazy enough to stand in front of 90 miles per hour slap shots. The real game changer, their Goalie Lab, where you can book a one-on-one fitting with a goalie specialist like me to make sure your setup actually fits the way you play. And don't forget, Black Friday at General Sports is coming fast. They're rolling out insane goalie gear deals from pads to gloves to masks, plus door prizes. If you've been waiting for the perfect time to upgrade your setup, this is it. So before you order something that might fit, go check out General Sports, because every save starts with the right setup, and General Sports makes sure you've got it.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Your voice changed. I closed my eyes and pictured the radio.
Good.
It was good. I didn't know General Sports had a goalie lab.
Yes, it's kind of cool. It's super cool, actually.
Nice.
You can go in and Gannon will like size you up and fit you for everything, and then someone like me would help you with like actual gear and make sure you're in the right sizing and everything like that. I think that's, especially as a woman, is super important, because a lot of people who were fitting me as a young girl or even in college, I was just always put in like the wrong size, the wrong stuff. It's like, you're putting me in a glove that's made for an NHL man.
Right.
And you're wondering why I can't close the glove.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not going to be able to close this for a while.
Like, it's just, so I think that's why it's like super cool. It's nice that they have something like that, because as a kid, I mean, I was never in a full set that fully fit me, and like I had figured it out until I was senior in college.
Oh.
So like those last 3 years, I was like, I feel great. Like I can close my glove. Like, but before that, I was like, I don't know, because it's really not made for, and even, you think of like boys, Bantams or Peewees, like that's like the size like I would probably be around.
Right.
And those boys, I mean, they're in the gear for 1 year and then they size up.
Yeah.
So nobody really like thinks about it that much. If their glove doesn't fit them perfectly well, they're going to get a new one the next year.
Yeah.
So they probably don't think about it that much either. So yeah, it's super nice. And it's easy. Make an appointment. You just call them and you get your little goalies. I grew up with my dad. We were like a hockey family. My brothers played hockey. My dad played hockey, but he didn't know anything about goalie. And my first whole setup was from Play It Again Sports. He just went and bought, I had a roller hockey helmet.
Oh,
he didn't know. He didn't know. You know, like he just grabbed. He was like, goalie helmet. You know, here you go. I was 10, so it didn't matter. I'm playing 10U and 12U or whatever. We spray painted it with sparkles in the garage.
Nice. That's pretty awesome.
It was great. And you obviously work with younger goalies now with your Dubnyk development program that you started. What inspired you to launch that program?
So I did I love coaching and I didn't just want to start a goalie school just to start it where kids are coming in and out and in and out.
Yeah.
And, I did a video program with a guy the last 6 years of my career that taught me about head tracking and that was a big part of the second half of my career. So I know it works. I did it with him at the NHL level, going through the review at different times. It was obviously a little bit different because I was 30-something and a grown man. And so, we didn't do it like once a week. It wasn't scheduled. But we would do it throughout the season, and we'd try to catch times where, I was starting to get away from what I needed to do. And especially playing a lot of games in a row, you win 6 games in a row and your game's starting to, it's kind of like a team, right? Your game's starting to tail and it hasn't cost you yet, but it's like about to. So we try to catch those times and maybe continue the streak. Or if you do, it's one bad game, maybe 2 instead of like 3, 4, the snowball goes. Now you start, mentally starting to question things and it kind of gets off the rails. So I think that's a lot of why I was able to play 65, 68 games a year was getting that consistency, and that was a big part of it. So I just started thinking about that and enjoying coaching. And, it's not for really young kids. Like this is brand new, so I'm just going through it now. I have kids at all different ages, but, I said Pee-wee and up. And just the reasoning is for what I'm going to provide. And this is what I tell people for what I'm going to provide. It's not worth the cost for what I'm going to provide to them. I can go help your goalie for sure, but so can goal crease.
Yeah.
If they're at that stage, they need to be able to comprehend the stuff that I'm going to be talking to them about. The little bit higher level stuff, both comprehend it, know what I'm talking about, be able to sit through video and actually use it, and then also be able to go apply it. And that is just, obviously, there's kids who are younger who can do that. It just usually kind of gets into that more, at least Pee-wee into, your Bantam. Obviously, the older they get, the more they're kind of able to comprehend and apply on the ice, and I wanted to make it, it's a individual, year-round, kind of all-encompassing program. So it's video on ice, constant communication for all the things that come with being a goalie, how to get the most out of practice. If something's bothering you, getting to the point where we're comfortable, where you can text or call me. If you're nervous about a game, just kind of everything, just being a goalie coach and going through a journey with individuals and hopefully having it, go on for years and not just, putting a whole bunch of people on the ice and showing them some stuff I know and then sending them out the door, which is, it's great. And there's lots of good goalie schools out there. And I think that, I'm planning on developing a Dubnyk development goalie school, which will kind of follow that same thing of a smaller, more kind of intimate setting and not a big, have hundreds of kids in. Yeah. I want to kind of keep that same thing and hopefully have that next year. But the main part of this program was really just having that relationship and being with somebody as they grow throughout their years and having them really enjoy what should be the best times of your life in youth hockey, kind of going and making sure we get them playing at the highest level they can, whatever that is.
Yeah. And obviously you played at such a high level. Like, I'm sure when you got to the end of your career, it was more like you and your goalie coach were like kind of peers rather than the normal dynamic. I feel like that I most of the time experienced, which was like, that's my coach. It's just like a different piece of a dynamic. I'm sure like you bringing that in with those kids, like, do you think like you play on that when you coach your goalies? Like it's more of like an adult relationship, like you treat them that in that way and like allow them to speak their mind?
Yeah, I want them to be able to, and you know, it takes a little bit for them
Yeah.
to get comfortable. One, I'm an adult who they don't know, and two, there's a lot of, you know, wide eyes when it's me doing it. So, you know, I try to talk to them a lot, and it doesn't take long for them to get comfortable with me. Obviously, go on the ice a few times and talk and get to know me, and I'm not a scary person. So, you know, I'm not a coach. I'm not there to be a coach to like give them crap. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm there to help them and be somebody that they can talk to about anything. And you know, that's one thing I kind of always have to continue to say is like, make sure you let me know if you're thinking anything, because you haven't said anything for a while. Like, if first of all, if what I'm saying doesn't make sense, please tell me. And also, like, if you're thinking, if there's something from the last game that was bothering you, or just any thoughts that pop in your mind, like, please tell me and we can talk about it. And that was part of why I wanted to do this too, was really thinking back on my career and going through the whole story and everything. And I tell people when they're looking to sign up for the program is I feel pretty qualified to do this, because I've seen just about every up and down you can in a career, from all the way to the top to, again, first round draft pick to starting goalie to 3 goalie rotation in the minors to a 1-year contract to a 6-year contract to 3-time All-Star. I've seen it all. And navigated it. So I feel like I want to be able to help different kids at different levels do the same thing, because this, you know, it doesn't matter what level it is. This is their Stanley Cup, right? If it's bantam and it's a tournament, that's their Stanley Cup. They're 14 years old, and it's not, you don't get to say, well, you know, it's just youth hockey, whatever. That's it to them. And so whatever the emotions they're feeling, ups and downs, it's the same type of stuff that you deal with at the very top. And like I said, having navigated all of that, I want to be able to kind of bring that experience to help other people.
Yeah, having that knowledge, being able to share that is super valuable. And you said that you work with goalies that are like above peewee age. How many goalies do you have right now?
I have 6 at the moment that are all spread out. I do have a squirt in there. He's a very talented goalie, and he was actually my first, and it was kind of funny how that worked out. But great kid, and all the way up through, I've got a peewee, I've got a couple peewees and bantam in high school, kind of all spread out. So again, this is the first year doing it, so I didn't know who was gonna come in, who wanted to do it.
That's quite a few kids.
Who was gonna want to do it, you know, after we talked and everything. So. It's a good amount right now, and it's all learning the video side of it, rolling with it nicely now. But that was all new too. Is like, how do you get video? How do you get it to the computer? How do you transfer it to the program? How do you make a playlist? How do you then do a call? So this is all learning stuff that now I've got through and kind of know how it works now and know how to do it, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and with your 2 goalies that you have at home, are they a part of this program, or do you let them do
they get it for free?
Like, do you like watch video with them and do film?
I will. I haven't yet. I've shown him a little bit, but I think with my 12-year-old, I'm gonna start to do his games, and it doesn't have to be any crazy in-depth thing with him. I mean, it's again, you're navigating coach and dad all the time, and I'm on the ice with him every day, just about. I go to all their practices, and it's good for them to see themselves, though, because a lot of times you can say something over and over and explain it to what they're doing, and they're kids, so they don't necessarily feel it. Like some kids will have this, like the really young kid that I have, his ability to apply what I was telling him was crazy, for being as young as he was, and that's going to vary. Some kids will be able to apply it right away. They'll be able to feel their body doing one thing or the other. Some people can't necessarily have that brain-body connection where they can feel exactly what I'm telling them. So I could say it over and over and over again. Then you could put a video in front of them and say, this is what I'm talking about. And it'll be like, oh, they can see it.
Mm-hmm.
And they can see the difference. And then they can look at that and say, okay, I remember that feeling now. Now I can see what he's talking about. Now I remember that and know what he's talking about. So there's definitely a place for it, and I'll start doing some video with them. But
yeah, it is weird how in a game something will happen, and then like after that period, your goalie coach or coach will ask you, what do you think happened on that play, or how did that go down? And you'd respond, and then you'd watch the video later and be like, never mind, I totally interpreted that wrong.
That's why I always, there's got to be if you're ever upset after a game or upset with a player or you want to say something, like this, you got to wait till the next day. Yeah. For that exact reason, because I guarantee you, whatever it happened with Anthony Stolars in Toronto when he went on and got all pissy with William Nylander.
Oh yeah.
And so I was doing a podcast with the Hockey News the next day, and they were asking me about it, and I watched the overtime goal, and I was like, I think if he waited 24 hours, he might not have said that, because I mean Nylander he made it sound like he wasn't working hard. Mm-hmm. And because when you see it right in front of you and they're trying to win and he's pissed off that the guy got a step on Nylander and feels like he was just coasting around out there and doing whatever, and so you're upset at the time. And so he goes out and says something about like, you got to work and you can't just coast around or whatever he said. But then if you go watch it again, it's like he just got caught flat-footed for a second. And the guy blew by him and he worked his butt off to try to catch him. But it certainly wasn't like a straight-legged, it was a split second, and that's what happens in the NHL. And that's why you wait, because guarantee you it's not as bad as it felt like in that exact moment. Exactly.
Yeah. And with little kids too, it's nice to show them, because sometimes it's so cute, like they're pretty headstrong.
Yep.
And you're like, no, that's not how it went down. Let me show you how it went down.
And if they have a lot of times, if they do have a tough game, you can just go through the game with them, and they'll watch the game, and they realize it's not as bad as they made it out in their head, right? They make it to be this crazy thing that was so horrible, and like you go watch the game with them and go through it and show them some good things they did, and then break down the goals with them and say what we would have done differently, and then all of a sudden it's not nearly as bad as they've probably drawn up in their head.
Yeah. Do you think that with your older, like high school age goalies, I feel like most often when I got to that age, it was when, if I watched it, I kind of knew. I knew what I should have done or what could have happened, or, different scenarios that like, oh yeah, I probably should have been ready, or I probably should have done this or that. But it's nice to have a facilitator that's going to sit down with you and talk you through it too. Like, how much of the time do you really think like you're bringing them a new perspective versus they like know what they should have done almost?
Yeah, well, I think that it's good to, and when I'm having the conversations with them too, I'm always like I remind them, because I'm very with the high school kid. It's like I'm always telling them like I'm being very picky, because and I'm like, I know it's hard. Like I know it's a game. I'm telling you these things. I don't expect it to be perfect all the time, but I'm being picky. And there's more feedback of like, he'll tell me what he saw in this play, and I'm like, all right, perfect, because it's different when you're in the net. And that's also why you need to, you can be a goalie coach to a degree and still help people, but to really get like at high levels, like you have to have played, because you need to know what it looks like at these different levels to be able to truly soak that in and understand and sympathize essentially with them about what they saw and what happened in front of them, and know what your body feels like in there, and not just look at the video and be like, well, you should have done that.
Yeah. Well, the game moves so fast, and like knowing what they're feeling is super important.
Yeah.
So you can connect with them.
And a lot of what we look at too is especially the start, is just getting this foundation of getting our eyes looking at the puck, our head in the right position, which then puts your body in the right position, which then allows us to move and access the puck. And so there's not a ton of technical stuff. I mean, I can provide all that as well, but a lot of it is showing them how to get from A to B and how to put themselves in a position to make a save, because allow them to be the goalie that they are, and showing them how this whole thing happened from over here.
Mm-hmm.
We started in our stance. We sat down. Our chest was up. That pass came over. Now we were forced to open up, stand up, and over to get over there. That then didn't get us there as fast. Plus, we were on our heels when we got there, which is why the shot beat us. Not just like, well, you shouldn't have done that on that shot. You should have been over top of your toes on that shot. We couldn't be because of A, B, and C that happened before, and looking at that movement is a big part of it, is getting them comfortable moving around, seeing the puck, and being free to skate and skate into these positions, and understanding that, again, that whole thing might have happened because you didn't skate into something properly 2 plays earlier, or like being ready, like you said, and not just looking at one play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're analyzing the whole play.
Yeah, and getting them moving again, and unlocking their true ability to go play.
Yeah, it's so cool that you're able to do that and connect with so many people and utilize like your knowledge, share that with a lot of other people. And I'm so thankful to have had you on today. I really, really appreciate it. And if anyone has any questions about your program, where should they go look?
DubnykDevelopment.com is the website, so you can have a little look there, and there's a contact forms on there. There's application forms, but there's contact forms as well that you can submit anything. There's a spot that you can write out questions, whatever, and it'll come to me, and
Perfect.
It's just me. So people were surprised when they'd send me something, and I was like, they thought I had this like giant team working for me or something. They couldn't believe that it was like me. Or I'd set up a call, and they'd pick up the phone and they'd be like, I didn't think it was really going to be you calling. I'm like, it's literally just me. This whole program is me. Eventually, I'd like to have a team and have it big enough and work a little, but right now,
starting from the ground up.
You send a message, it comes to me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Phone calls come to me.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Absolutely, you too.
Oh, we did it.
All right.
Thank you.